Hey there, welcome to your daily dose of John Barton. Um, so in today's episode of Taking Stuff Apart, we are we're experimenting with improving the interiors. So along with that, what I've done is I'm revisiting some of the cases that I've collected over the years. So here's one that has a hold on, let me show you guys this. Here's one that has a little bit of padding here in the top, right? So it's got a, feels okay, decent. Not a lot of padding, but it's soft and feels decent. Now, I had to cut the bottom off here. It's actually fairly well done here where the material's on real tight to the body. So that's good. That's one good thing. Everything else is kind of weak on here, though, the way this is done. All sewn together there, it's pretty weak. But as far as that goes, I just opened it up, so I'm curious to see what's in the bottom here. And this is the first time I've taken it apart to this degree. So let's see what we got. So we have a piece of foam rubber, piece of cardboard, another piece of foam rubber, and then very thin nylon right there, paper thin nylon. You guys hang out right there for a second. I want to show you something. This is crazy to me. So, like, I really don't understand it. I don't understand why they do this. There must be a reason. I think it might be rubber grip cues or something, maybe. But this is another case here, interior, from the same maker. And you can see here, if you put your hand in here, it feels nice, not down to about where your fingers can go. And then if you flip it over, once again, we have paper thin nylon in here. I mean, that is paper thin. It's ridiculous, I don't get it. Now this here, this is the foam rubber that goes inside. So it goes down, it's got a little block here. So I guess that's for the shafts. And then, but it goes basically inside like this, up to that point. But if you look inside of it, you'll see that it's got much more of a gap in there. There's much more space in there than this will cover. So the thin nylon, which isn't going to be protective of your cues. I mean, your cues are going to be hitting each other pretty much with the same force that they would hit each other if there was nothing in between. And this little block doesn't do anything to prevent that from happening. That's about the best thing on the case right there. And so I don't get it. But this interior came out of a name brand case, like a very famous brand. I'm not going to tell you the brand because I don't want to be sued by that brand. They have a lot more money than me. And even though that I'm in the right, I don't want to have to go hire a lawyer, and I don't want to have to go to court to prove that I'm right. And even then, who knows whether I could recover any, I just don't want to get tied up in court over this, so I'm not going to mention the brand, okay? This is the top of the case, what you would feel. That's the top of the interior. So that's what you would feel if you felt in there. Now, there's really no padding there. It's just basically the material kind of doubled over, maybe a piece of cardboard or something, or some kind of fabric stiffener in there. But there's no real padding. There's a little bit of padding here. And but you'll notice, look how this is spliced in here. See that? So if you take your hand and you put it in right there, you'll notice that splice piece is longer than my fingers. See that? So a normal person might reach in there and they wouldn't be able to feel that the interior is any different than this below this point. They just wouldn't see it or feel it, So anyway, this is literally what the bottom of that case looks like. That's it. This is a famous brand, you know, a very famous brand. And that's literally what the interior is after this point. So just to put this in context, you would take a cue. You would take a cue, and I'm going to have to hold this so I don't drop my cue here. You take a cue and you put it in, right? So that's what you see right there. And let me grab a shaft here. Hopefully we're not going to kill the shaft. So this is what, and I'm holding this right here, but that's what you, the consumer, would see, right? And this is what is actually happening with the cue at this level. See that? Look at this. Watch this. See how they can touch each other? So you imagine if this case falls over, imagine the force. Imagine the force that's going to be applied there. And it's basically just like that. So I don't get it. I don't understand why they do this. There's no apparent reason for it. If they just would extend this all the way down, like all the way down, and connect it, extend this, like just do this all the way down, it would be better than the way it's currently constructed. So the only thing I'm left with here is that, well, I know for a fact that doing this would be more expensive just on the fabric alone, you know. I don't know how much more, maybe $1 or so. And it would be more work to do this the way that this is sewn all the way down than it is just to simply put nylon cavities in there like that, where you don't have to do any extra sewing. There's no extra padding or anything. It's a very simple sew job. So from a work standpoint, it would be a lot less to do it this way. But from a protection standpoint, the consumer is getting completely shafted on that. It's mind-boggling to me. You know, it's crazy. This is our case, right? And you as a consumer can simply go like this, reach in, see what I'm doing? Reach in and grab a handful. Now that feels really nice and cushy, doesn't it? Feels great. And you can pull it out and you can see for yourself and feel for yourself all the padding all the way down. So you can see that the cavities go all the way to the bottom on here. So your cues can't touch each other. If something drops into the case, it's not going to have a chance to go into the other cavities, you know, to go all the way to the bottom and then move over to the other cavities. You know, it's not going to happen in our case. And I think those things are important. You know, I do. I think they're important. I think the whole purpose of a pool cue case is you put your cue in it and you know for sure that when you put your cue in, that these parts are not going to touch each other. They're not going to touch each other at the top. They're not going to touch each other at the bottom. That's important. Don't you guys think that's important? So I don't get it. I don't know why these other brands, famous brands, and you know, 3 of them that I mentioned are famous brands. Then there's off brands. There's OEM brands where people bring in cases under their own brand name. You know, they really don't have a clue how the cases are made. They find a company that says, hey, we'll make pool cue cases and put your brand on it, right? Price is acceptable, great. They don't even know how those cases are really constructed, but they're selling them to you as if they're protective, you know? But they're not. I think it's a travesty. So, you know, something that you guys might want to think about. Here's another one. This one I've shown a few times. Looks great right there, doesn't it? Put your hand in there. Feels great. Then you come all the way here to the bottom, and you've got, for no good reason, you've got like 3 inches here of empty space, and it's very thin. So for example, if this were reversed, right, and that were the front of the case and you looked at that, I don't think you would buy it. Because you would say to yourself, if that's what you were looking down into, you know, if you were looking down into the case like this and that's what you saw, I think that any reasonable person would just conclude that that's not protective, you know, or not very protective. But they don't do that. They fool you by making it look like this on top, taking away that protection below where you can feel. So you can feel your fingers go down to about right here, and that's about as far as that padding goes. And then after that, it's just thin, you know? I don't get it. It's to me it's a real travesty. But anyway, that's my rant for the day. You know, we can go through lots of different cases, and now, you know, I'm starting to see that I'm going to find this in more and more of these cheap cases, especially when there's a few factories over there making the cases. So they're basically providing cases to all the different brands and or importers and their brands or their house brands. And so if one of them is made like crap, you know, then it's likely that all of them are made like crap. And you're the ones, you customers are the ones that are getting screwed over it. You know? So that's it. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.